There isn't a timeline for Rodgers to make a decision. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1, find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2, have a plan to get there. Step 3, make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8 year old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it for free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensate for their testimonials, sponsored by Age of Learning.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
Be careful out there, everybody. It is April Fool's Day. Glad to be here with you. No fooling. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Kester, Max Power producing. On April 1st, we turn the page to the calendar. Maybe to a little rain tonight. April showers would be welcome around here. We'll all do our rain dance. Glad to be here with you. Thanks for listening to us on KFH. Thanks for watching us on 12 News Connected, Facebook, YouTube, X. Thanks for listening to us on the Odyssey app. You can get in touch with us any of those ways. 869-1240 is the phone number. You can leave comments on all those video options, or you can hit the little microphone if you're listening in the Odyssey app and send us voice messages that we can then take and play out over the air. Glad to be here with you, everybody. Glad you're here with us on a Tuesday. We've got our Chiefs Insider, Felix Johnson, coming up in the next hour to join us. We'll start to look ahead specifically into the draft and do some other things. There's also NFL news to discuss. We can do that with Felix as well as the league meetings are happening, some news for us as it regards stadiums and things is very interesting. So we'll get into all of that later. Of course, we'll talk some basketball as well. KU loses another one to the portal. I wouldn't say it's all that surprising, but it is news because we didn't know. And then we got Royals baseball and baseball in general to get through. A lot of good stuff. Tommy, good morning. How are you?
Man, I'm hanging in there. Good to see you today. I made the mistake over the weekend at your birthday party of singing at the top of my lungs to the cover band at the bar.
Yeah.
And so now my voice is hanging by a thread. I woke up this morning, and I think that's what it is. It might be allergies a little bit, but I think it's mainly that.
It's allergies, too. And, I mean, listen, I was scream singing, too, and we're rocking and rolling. I don't know, maybe we're a little later to the allergy game. It's allergies, though. Like, we need this rain. I'm so sick of allergies. Like, what can we do here? Is it those pear trees that stink? Which ones are they? Let's just burn them all down, we're done with them. I'm with you.
Yeah, we've got not only the chance of rain, but it looks like maybe some rough weather to go with it today.
Yeah,
you kind of have to
tuned.
Take the good with the bad.
Take that Storm Team 12 app and stay tuned. Turn on your alerts because it could come late into the night when the bad stuff gets to Wichita. But there is a tornado threat. That's not April Fool's. There is a tornado threat, and it's a decent one. I think it's a 3 on the scale of 5. So we'll be watching and paying attention and, just keep it all handy and be on your toes a little bit. And, yeah, hopefully it's just loud rain. That's what we'll all hope for because we need it so badly. Good night of sports there. We got the women, a couple of women's games where Texas and UConn look pretty dominant, I think, in their games. But it was a decent little Monday news day. All that NFL stuff. KU loses another player. What'd you think of Diggy Coyne? We'll dig into it a little bit. I don't think it's that unexpected. I kind of expected it.
Yeah, I feel like with Coyte, it was a situation where the liabilities defensively probably outweighed what he could do on the offensive side of the ball. And so, that there could be a scenario. I read an interview with him where, he could return to Kansas, and it sounds like he could be welcome back to the Jayhawks if there is a fit for him at the end of the cycle. I don't think there's going to be. I think there's probably a better fit for him somewhere else. And I think that, Bill Self is going to hit the portal extremely hard. I think really the most notable piece of what happened with the Jayhawks yesterday is that Darren Peterson was asked about, if he was nervous at all with these players leaving. And he said, no, he made it sound like he and Bill Self had a good conversation about, what's going to happen. And basically, Peterson said that Bill Self told him, just get ready. Like, I'm going to hit the portal hard, and you're going to have, really great players around you. So I think that's the most notable part of the portal news for KU yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to, his role is going to be massive. And honestly, to me, that's the biggest part of the Diggy Coit thing. Like, if they really do entrust him to be a point guard, like you've suggested, then Diggy. I like Diggy. I think most KU fans would tell you they really like Diggy Coit. I don't know that he's ever going to be the right fit because of the defensive part, but that doesn't mean he can't become a much better defensive player. I get it. He's smaller, and while you might say, well, DeJuan Harris wasn't very big, and at times he was an All-American defender, DeJuan Harris had a wingspan that was uncanny. It was one of his, athletic things that made him be really effective at times at KU. So yeah, I get it. Because Diggy Coit's never going to be able to be his best self, I don't think, at KU because they're not going to let him be. And so if he wants to go test that somewhere, I would say that's a good idea. But that doesn't mean everybody doesn't like him, probably Bill Self included. Like, when you talk about just having the stones to get in there and take shots, like, he was one of the few guys for KU that would do that this year. I mean, his game could translate really well and in a really fun way somewhere because he's so fearless offensively. And so I hope he gets a chance to do that. I really do. Because I like him. And I don't think there's any KU fans out there that wouldn't agree that he was a fun player in his brief time.
Yeah, I mean, he provided a good amount of energy too, off the bench when he came in and was a spark that I think KU needed at times during the course of the season. So, for that reason, yeah, he'll be missed for sure. He would provide that energy off the bench, and then he would have, 2 or 3 defensive lapses in a row, and he'd find his way right back on the bench, So, yeah, he's going to provide energy. He's going to provide a good spark for whatever team he ends up with. But whatever team is going to have to know what his limitations are as well. I don't think it was all that surprising that Rylan Griffin entered the portal yesterday. I don't think it was surprising that Rakeem Passmore entered the portal yesterday as well. I mean, we're looking at a hard reset essentially for this roster, really outside of Darren Peterson. And I know they have Jamari McDowell still. They have Omarco Jackson still. But really outside of that, they don't have any returners. And so it's going to be the Darren Peterson show surrounded by guys that, Bill Self really likes in the portal.
For sure. And they're going to be very premier players that come to Kansas. How many of them they get will be pretty interesting. Elmarco and Jamari are players that we kind of liked as freshmen that really didn't do anything for a year. So, I mean, can they grow? Can those be the two guys? We'll find out. I still think Flory Badunga is going to come back, but that's just my gut feel on it.
I don't think he will. So when he entered the portal yesterday, I guess players, and I didn't really know this until this year, you can put a do not contact tag when you enter the portal, and that's what he did. So that leads me to believe that he's got a team he's going to because he doesn't want other schools to contact him. Like, that's what players do when they already have a new home, is they enter the portal, they put a do not contact tag on their portal entry, and that usually means they already know where they're going.
We'll find out. And Kansas will be getting a lot of new players one way or the other. They'll be talented players, but we'll see. So Diggy Coit's in. The Royals get back to business yesterday. There's a lot to dig into on the Royals. Let's do that next. We return on Sports Daily. Chiefs talk with a Chiefs Insider coming today as well. A lot of NFL news coming from those league meetings. So we'll get through it all here on Sports Daily. Don't go away. We're coming right back.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB Overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
KFH.
Hey, if you have a home construction need, Pepin Suter should be on your list of calls. Let Pepin bid your project, and you'll quickly see why they were the choice for our kitchen remodel, our basement remodel, our office remodel here at my house. The work has been top-notch. Their customer service is top-notch, and they'll help you every step of the way. You can call Pepin at 316-573-6822, or you can go to pepinsuter.com and check out some of the images. So no matter how big the project, inside, outside, whatever it is, give Pepin Suter a chance to make that bid. 316-573-6822 or pepinsuter.com. Welcome back into Sports Daily, everybody. Let's talk a little baseball, Tommy. It is that time of year. I can't tell you how much I love just being able to, throw on highlight shows at the end of the day for baseball. It's such a fun time of the year. And the Royals give you a lot to chew on when they're good. And right now it appears that they're good. They blow out Milwaukee, who has still not won a game. Feel a little bad for the Brewers, but hey, 2-2 now for the Royals, but it's an 11-1 win, which great. 11-1. Awesome. There's a lot we're still trying to digest early in this season. And there was a lot, Tommy, in that game that you could look at and pull out big picture and really be happy about if you're a Royals fan.
Well, I thought first and foremost, Chris Bubich had a phenomenal game. He's looked like the best pitcher through the first 4 games, at least starting pitcher that the Royals have right now. And, you look at an 11-1 final, and the first thing, if you didn't watch the game, that you're going to say is, well, the offense really showed up, and they did. But it was Chris Bubich. I mean, he held the Brewers down, pitched. What did he have? He went 6 or 7 scoreless innings for the Royals. And for somebody that hadn't made a start in almost 2 years, that's impressive, because we didn't know he was a wild card going into this season. Like, what will he look like in the rotation? And, going all the way back to right after the season ended, I remember JJ Piccolo talking about Chris Bubich and how they planned on utilizing him next season, this season right now. And Piccolo at the time was like, no, we feel like he's a starter. We feel like he can be back in that rotation. And he put his money where his mouth was by shipping out Brady Singer, who, by the way, had a really good game for the Reds yesterday.
Really good yesterday.
He was really good yesterday. But shipping off Brady Singer and then giving Chris Bubich a spot in the rotation, at least through one start. I know it's a very small sample size, but at least through one start, Bubich looks like he can handle it.
Bubich has flashed at times over his career. It's been injury and it's been consistency. So we'll see that over time. But remember, he ended up back in the bullpen because he was coming back from injury and they desperately needed him to be there. So anytime in Major League Baseball you give the option of a guy stretching out to be a starter, teams are going to take that option every single time, rightfully so, because they'll throw more innings. And so, yeah, but this move made sense. It especially made sense when they added other arms to the bullpen to soften that blow. But you have to consider that when you talk about and think about Brady Singer going out, because Singer was really good yesterday. And if Singer can control things in maybe the worst ballpark I could think of for him to pitch in, for the things that he does, like he did yesterday, the Reds are going to be really happy with that trade too. But it's not all about Bubich. It's, of course, about the guy the Royals brought over, Jonathan India, who has been fantastic in that leadoff spot, constantly making noise, constantly being productive, and doing things at the top of the lineup that they just could never find a year ago. And again, we understand this is all small sample size stuff. Obviously, 1 start for Bubich, 4 starts for India. Okay, I get it. But what you're seeing is with India, just what it could be like. He's not going to hit 375 this year like he is. He's not going to be on base. I don't even know what his on base percentage is right now, but it's absurd. Like, that's not going to continue at those clips. But man, he's just being productive up there. And they've been non-productive for a while, right? And what does that allow? Well, it allows the guys underneath him to do what they do. And again, this contributes to what we've said before could be the best top half of a lineup in Major League Baseball. Well, at least in the American League, right? And that's a big thing to say with the Yankees hitting 1 billion home runs and the Dodgers running out a Hall of Fame lineup right now. I get that. But they can be as productive as any of them. They really can. I believe that. Bobby Witt Jr.'s been good. Vinny Pasquantino he's coming along a little slower. And Salvi got his first home run. Salvi hadn't had any power, but he's been productive. So, look, it's all going well. But I got to be honest, Tommy, all of that, like Bubic and India and everything that went right yesterday, the thing that stands out to me the most, probably out of an individual game like that, is that Michael Garcia started in center field. Now, Kyle Isbell is handy to have on the team. But if you can replace his bat with Michael Garcia's bat and know that Garcia can play a competent center field, that is also a huge potential boon for this offense. Garcia is a much more potent offensive player than Kyle Isbell. Now, he's streaky. I get it. But just at the surface, that could also be a really interesting development for this team if they continue to do that.
Yeah, Garcia has 2 home runs in 4 games. He hit one yesterday. And I know that, basically, I think they wanted to give Jonathan India, a little bit of time at third base. They wanted to give Kyle Isbell the day off. I understand all of that. And I think that with Garcia, it's going to just be a matter of what is his range in center field? How competent is he out there defensively? Because you love having his bat in the lineup if you can get him in center field,
right,
and you can then also have Jonathan India play third base, which is his natural position. Then at that point, you feel like you've got a good, solid lineup offensively. You just can't have any kind of liability in center field. And so if the Royals feel confident about his range, what he can do defensively out there in center field, and I get that. I think that's a fine move. I like having Isbell as a depth piece for sure. But man, like an outfield of Melendez in left, Garcia in center, and Renfroe in right, I'd take that because I feel like Garcia gives you what you need offensively. Again, the wild card, the question mark is going to be, will he be a liability in the outfield? And at least yesterday, he didn't show that he was.
Yeah, it'll take a long time to figure that out. I'm not sure. I really don't know. But if he can play out there, it opens a lot of options, right? Because I think Hunter Renfroe has looked pretty good at the plate. Like he looks, production, whatever aside, like he just
looked good yesterday.
Yeah, he looks pretty locked in. MJ Melendez, not as much. He doesn't look great right now to me, but he's kind of streaky too. So it also allows those guys to get extra rest. If not just can you play, Isbell, but if Garcia can play center, can he also play left or right? Because if he can play left or right now, we've got India and Garcia that the possible to go out there. Like they have a very flexible lineup where they can just continue to get the right bats in there. And again, when you're talking about 162 games and you go big picture, it protects you to some degree from injury. It protects you. Like they have a lot of versatility in that defensive lineup that I think can help them. The other big piece to take out of this is the way they deployed the bullpen. I was a little surprised by it, but I think we can, read into it. Anel Zerpa had another messy inning. So for me, like I know we're only 2 games into this, but you can go ahead and slide him on out of like we've got the lead and we need to maintain. Based on everything we've seen, I like him. He's fine, but I'm not putting him in with a lead or in a tie game again for a while. Until he shows me he can give me clean innings, like he does not look good at all. They went ahead and gave Daniel Lynch his innings in this spot, which did surprise me. They have a lot of guys in the pen they haven't used yet. I was surprised to see Lynch with a lead like that get his work in. And maybe they're trying to learn like how often can he pitch or something like that. But he gave you his 2 clean innings last night again, or yesterday afternoon. And that's 2 appearances now where he's been able to do that in this weird, like hybrid role of coming in to give you 2 innings. And that's something to pay attention to, because if he can give you that every 3 days, if he can give you those 2 innings, that's another thing where you're like, okay, that's a new development here.
Yeah, I'm okay with that usage because I feel like he's got, as we've talked about before, the versatility, to not only come out of the pen, but to start. And I think, but if he's going to do that, if you're going to utilize him in that more of hybrid role, you've got to give him the work. And so if that means he comes in when it's 11-1 and works 2 innings, then, okay, like that's fine with me because, maybe they feel like he needs to get that consistent work in the game, regardless of what the outcome is. So they're clearly, I think, experimenting with Daniel Lynch and what his usage is, where they want to deploy him. But I think it's more of a consistency type thing than it is about a situational way to utilize him in the bullpen. So I'm ultimately okay with the way they deployed him yesterday. I don't disagree with you about Zerpa, at least for right now. I think you need to kind of figure out, okay, maybe he's not a guy that you bring in when you've got a lead. Maybe you give him a little bit of rest and you try to have him work through what he's going through right now, before you try to put him out there in another situation. So I don't disagree. It's been a rough start for Zerpa. I like Zerpa a lot. I think he can probably work his way through whatever is ailing him right now. But I don't disagree. He's not looked good at all.
I mean, he was okay last year. He was okay. He had almost a 1.5 whip. So I think it's a little deceiving. Now, he's still a young guy and he's a lefty, right? So he's got a lot of value here. But these are, whether you're in the 6th inning with a lead or the 9th inning in the lead, these are high leverage spots. And I just don't think he is doing anything to tell you that's a good spot for him at the moment. Let him work through it, because I'd have to look up his game log from a year ago, but he had this, right? He had this stretch. He was very good for them in the postseason last year. He came into 5 games last year in the postseason. Now, I say very good. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but he was effective. We'll call it that. He was effective last year for them in the postseason. So you don't, and he's young, and he's a lefty. Zerpa's going to be a part of what they do, but at least at the moment, you don't need to just keep doing it because that's the way you think you want it to be. Lynch is giving you another option there. The other guys are good. Maybe try somebody else. Let's see what somebody else has in that spot. We'll talk to Jalen Thompson about this late in the week, and I'm sure Zerpa will pitch probably a couple more times before then, and maybe they do just let him work through it. But I'd almost rather see him available as a situational lefty than being crammed into that 6th inning role we've talked about that is so important for this team. I wonder if Lynch can give you 2 like this, and Ursig can do the same thing, is there a way to sort of alternate those guys in close games and then go to Harvey and Estevez at the end of a game? So let's say the Royals are playing a series, and on Monday, they've got a 1-run lead in the 6th inning, and their starter needs to come out of the game because he's at, 90 pitches, whatever it is. Okay, on Monday, you go to Lynch. Lynch gives you 2 innings, gets you to the back end, right? Gets you to the back end, you're good to go. Then on Tuesday, you do the same thing with Ursig. 2 innings or 1+ to get to those, back into the book. Then on Wednesday, can you go right back to Lynch that quickly? And I think that's what made me so interested in Lynch's usage yesterday, is that it was Saturday, 2 innings, right? Monday, 2 innings. There's only, isn't that right? Yeah, Saturday to Monday, 2 innings each time. If he can deploy that way and go and be just available right every other day like that, that is an interesting development, I think, for this bullpen. And now when we talk about Lynch being able to stretch out or do whatever it is that he needs to do, I'm not so sure that doesn't even have more value than him as a 5th starter. And maybe you skip over him and go to Alec Marsh in that role when the time comes. Because if they can give you that, that basically gives you another Ursig, which is wild to think about.
Well, it gives you a guy that was similar to what Michael Lorenzen did last year for them. Yeah. And, that was very valuable for the Royals. That's valuable for any team. That's what Michael Lorenzen did for a while, where he was that hybrid guy. He could go back and forth. And, if Lynch can do that, if they can deploy him in a situation where they need a spot starter or they need somebody to come in and clean up a bunch of innings, or if you can use him, if like, hey, let's just say it's Michael Wacha, because Wacha didn't pitch very well on Sunday. Let's say, hey, it's Michael Wacha's day. Lynch, be ready, because you might need to go in the 4th or the 5th. Like, we might need you early in the game. They can sort of strategize for that sort of thing. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully Wacha can bounce back. But I think having in the back of Lynch's mind that he can go out there every other day for a couple of innings and clean up, what's going on. I think that's a perfectly fine way to use him.
I think it's an unreal way to use him, because it gives you him and Ursig to do it. Like, you don't want the starters to go short. That's not what I mean. Like, you don't want it, like, you don't want that, but to know you have it eliminates, to me, what might be the biggest early season challenge for this team, which is getting, through basically the 5th, 6th inning until you can get to those big arms. I just think that and it's, again, I said this yesterday, that's a challenge for every team in baseball. Most bullpens don't run that deep, and eventually your starters are going to stretch out a little bit. And we know Reagans and Lugo at minimum can get you well into the 7th inning. Wacha probably a little less often. Lorenzen is capable, right? And who's the 5th? Who am I leaving off that list? Wacha, Reagans, Lugo, Lorenzen,
and Bubic.
Yeah. And Bubic, who went yesterday, and they're going to be careful with him too, I would imagine. Like, 6 innings from him we're probably not going to see him into the 7th all that much. 8 strikeouts, by the way, in 6 innings. But again, Bubic has done this before. Bubic has had stretches where he's been really effective in spurts. He went, what year was that? So if you go back to 2021, he started, Tommy, 20 games that year, had a 4.40 ERA. So you'd certainly like to see him be more effective. But if you could replicate that, and he appeared in 29 games, but if you told me he would make 25 to 30 starts for this team and had an ERA in the low 4s,
I would absolutely take that.
That's a pretty good outcome for him. Now, I think he has flashed to be even better than that, but I don't think we should set that as the expectation for him right now. I think the expectation for him is that hopefully he can be your 4th or 5th starter, but the upside can shine through too. Not only was he good yesterday, like, he was cooking good. Like, he was effective. You don't strike out 8 dudes and not have good stuff. And he had good stuff. And we saw that kind of stuff last year out of him in the bullpen. That's where it tantalizes a little bit. But I think if we reasonably set that floor, there's a good chance Bubic achieves what the Royals need him to do this year. I'd say there's a very good chance.
Well, and I know that part of the conversation before the season started was this whole thought that they were going to put Bubic back in the rotation. And he was effective in that limited time at the end of last season out of the bullpen. And I think the question was, what are they going to be losing by moving him into the rotation? Are they going to have somebody to replace that kind of production in the bullpen? And if it's Daniel Lynch, that's fantastic. I mean, like, that's a great development for sure.
It's why their offseason was so smart, because I don't even think they planned on it being Daniel Lynch as much as they brought in Estevez, right? So if you lose Bubic out of your back end, now you have Estevez. Harvey's obviously healthy, who they invested a ton in. And now you have all those pieces. Slide Bubic up, and then look at what Jonathan India can do. It all fit together very well. Piccolo, man, has been killing it. We got more Sports Daily coming right after this.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Is the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of. It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now. 31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Sports Daily on KFH.
No, it is, in fact, Sports Daily. That is not an April Fool's joke. We are glad to be with you here. If you want to win some HTO, let's do that right now. You can win a free cup of iced tea, and that'll be available at East Wichita, West Wichita, or in Derby. So you get a free cup of tea, and when you're in there, we are soft launching a new drink here, and I want you to try it if you go in. They're the refreshers, and they are available to try out. These are like energy sort of drinks. They're delicious. I've tried them. So get in there. Get your free cup of iced tea by texting the keyword tea to 20357. So that's the contest, tea 20357. And while you're in, try those new refresher drinks. They officially launch later this month, but while you're in, try the new energy drinks, the refreshers. There's 3 different flavors. We'll have some samples out. They will be available for purchase. Not officially launched, but a soft launch on them. Try them. Let me know what you think. Thanks for being here with us on Sports Daily. It is April Fool's Day. Be on your toes out there, everybody. Tommy, the NFL meetings are happening right now, and there are a lot of little things coming out of there that we're always very interested in. But before we get into those, and we'll have some of this with Felix Johnson in the next hour, our Chiefs Insider, the big takeaway yesterday came for us here from the Chiefs in that Clark Hunt has sort of laid out the same kind of timeline we saw from the Royals and John Sherman last week, that they hope to have a decision sort of by this summer. It's not surprising, by the way, that deadline, because the star bond that was voted on in the state of Kansas expires June 30th. And so if they want to utilize that and make sure they can utilize that and not give it the chance of needing to go back for another vote, you don't know what the economy is going to be doing by then. They would need to be done by June 30th. So I would take that as a pretty hard deadline, right? That's not the interesting part. That's not the surprising part. What's really interesting and surprising out of that yesterday was sort of the conversation of, well, if they come over, they'd like it to be a dome, which it better be a dome if they come over. I don't care what anybody says. I know you want them to play outside. Make it retractable, because if it's going to be a star bond, it better be multi-use on a football field. You better be able to close that thing in the wintertime and have the biggest events in the state happening inside that stadium. But then there's not only that, so they could either renovate Arrowhead on the Missouri side, which will not include a roof, right? They're not going to add a retractable roof, I don't think, to Arrowhead if it stays where it's at. So that's one check, I think, in the Kansas column. But then it's what comes after that. That conversations have already been had about the potential to host a Super Bowl, which also comes if you put on a retractable roof. And that is where, if you're sort of on the fence, don't care, if there is any remote possibility that you can get even one, and maybe it would be like a guarantee of 2 Super Bowls in the state of Kansas, now we're talking. Now we're talking. And that is a huge development to me. And in this read between the lines world of all this, whether you go all the way back to how gambling got crammed through in Kansas and, the flirtation beginning sort of then. And then I'm telling you, like if the league is backdoor or capable of saying, hey, if you put a roof on that stadium and build a new one, we'll get you a Super Bowl, at least one. I think they're coming. Like, I think it's better than 50% now.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you, I don't think that Clark Hunt and Mark Donovan and Roger Goodell are having those conversations if this isn't already fairly far down the track, right? Like, I don't think that like maybe they're having a hypothetical and it's early on, but I can't imagine that there has been even, fairly concrete conversations about a potential Super Bowl unless there is a real likelihood that this stadium goes on the Kansas side. Like, unless they're already, and I don't know if we're talking 50% down the line, 60% down the line, 75. I don't know where it would stand, but like, these guys have, too many other things to do and too many other major pressing priorities to have hypothetical conversations.
Right.
I don't think that that's the case. I think that there's got to be, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think there's got to be fire on this, that there is, at least relative concrete plans to build a new stadium on the Kansas side that would include a Super Bowl being hosted at that stadium. Otherwise, why have the conversations, and then why put that out to the press? So I think that this might actually be a little bit further down the line than maybe what we had originally thought.
Yeah, I mean, look, the star bond's in place. It's down the line, at least with the Chiefs. The Royals may be a little bit different, but with the Chiefs, we're there. Again, you got to go way back on stuff like this and just try to not overthink it and look at it logically. When When the very first flirtations happened, way back years ago, it was like, it was right as the NFL is looking at, becoming a part of the, the sports betting culture. And it's like, boy, if you want to lure the Chiefs over to the state of Kansas, get betting. That's it, because it's like the first tally. And well, you could embrace sports betting over here. You can't do that in Missouri right now. Okay. What happens? You get like almost universal and immediate, like, we're going to cram this through. The Chiefs said they might come over. What can we do to help them come over? Okay, boom. All of a sudden we have betting. That's a weird legislative process, but read between the lines. You fast forward a little bit and you look at it and it's like, there's still that vote failed in Missouri. It's a mess. Boom, there's a star bond. Like, Kansas is being as aggressive, honestly, as I can ever imagine them being. They're like, it's laid all out. And so now you've presented this case for the Chiefs. All right, Chiefs, make it. You didn't get through the easiest solution, which would be to just raise a bunch of money to put, to spit shine Arrowhead, basically, and share the same place, which doesn't really allow you to take advantage of much else going on out there, because there isn't much else going on out there. But it's, it's Arrowhead, and I get it, right? It'd be the easiest option probably. So you can do, oh, wait, no, you can't do that because the voters turned it down. Okay. So now you can start from scratch. And if you're going to start from scratch, you can start from scratch with a star bond that sits here and helps you pay for a bunch of it. You don't have to take a vote. So the legislative process is already covered. You can also further embrace and probably make a little money on sports betting if you come over. Okay, great. You're serving the exact same area. Nothing changes. We can put a roof on there. And oh, by the way, since you can put a roof on that one, we'll get you a Super Bowl in a fancy new stadium. Maybe we can guarantee you 2 Super Bowls over a 20-year period. I mean, what would you do?
I mean, think about all the other things. I mean, think about potential Final Fours. Think about
all of it.
I mean, I know the World Cup is obviously coming to Kansas City anyway, but like, you're probably helping, a future opportunity for things like that. I mean, like, the opportunities are endless if you have a brand new stadium like that. I thought it was interesting that Clark Hunt talked about how it's still on the table to renovate Arrowhead and then develop around it. And I'm like, develop around it with what? And
done that already.
Right. Like, it's been there for 50 years. Like, how come the development hasn't already happened then? Like, if that's that. And so I think that, like, there might be a little bit of a hedge, going on. But at the same time, like, that whole option falls flat to me. And I love Arrowhead. Everybody loves Arrowhead. But that falls flat to me because, oh yeah, you're going to develop around it. You could have been doing that for years. And like, that's never happened. Like, I always joke around about it. There's a Taco Bell right by Arrowhead. Like, that's about it. That's about the only thing that's right around that stadium. So like, that doesn't even hold any water to me, because that could have been happening for the last 4 or 5 decades.
Yeah, right. And commercial developers have not come in and had much interest in that. It's all risky. Again, like, the star bonds are there. We could end up in Kansas with a tab of, I don't know, $3 billion with a state budget that doesn't run very high. Now, again, star bonds are driven through sales tax. And I think that the Chiefs piece of a sales tax, if you're talking about concerts and Super Bowls, and, if you could tell me that 2 Super Bowls are going to come to Arrowhead within 20 years, which I believe is the length of a star bond, I'd say the chances to pay off the star bond are pretty good. I mean, the money generated through a sales tax having the Super Bowl would be immense. It would be massive, massive stuff. If you think about, an 18-game schedule being proposed and all of these things that are changing in the league, and we cannot get enough of the NFL. Like, I don't want to call it a safe investment, but of all the ways you can invest as a state and do, like, the NFL is probably as safe on an investment like that as you can get. Pretty close. Baseball would be probably a little different. You're kind of banking on quantity a little bit, because the off-season stuff is fairly limited, especially if you also have Arrowhead over there. You could do some stuff, but maybe you play state tournaments there and you do, I don't know, maybe you play a state football game there or something. There are different things you can do. But there is risk for Kansas for sure. But when you talk about that other stuff, it mitigates that risk. Not only it mitigates the risk to me, Tommy, for Kansas. It makes me more easy or more prone to say, yeah, I could rubber stamp that because those outside events work. Could they have another draft out there in the next 20 years? I don't know about that because it doesn't, it's not as cool as having it as Union Station. So maybe that's off the table. But there are different things they could do out there. And I wish I had, and I don't, maybe it's out there, but it's probably not, is to look at the generated taxable revenue for places that have done this. And I don't even know what the right comparison would be, because it's not going to be in a major metro area, at least right on top of it. So, there are baseball stadiums you could do this with, but football, look at Arlington, perhaps, as an example of what's happened around Jerry World, because that's away from the massive population pocket. And of course, they have the Rangers proximity, and they've built up this. I mean, it's an unbelievable, beautiful area right there that they've done. But there hasn't been a ton of outside of that. It's not the area around Jerry World is this booming metropolis. It is kind of what. So what is all, and of course, but they have everything there. They have everything at Jerry World.
The Niners moved away from San Francisco proper.
That might be a good example.
That's one. Don't the Cardinals play in Glendale? Isn't that where their stadium is?
Yep, that's a good one too.
You've got other teams that have done that where they've moved away from, the main metropolitan, almost downtown area. And even Arrowhead's not downtown, right? It's off.
I'm talking the new stadiums though, where they become sort of multi-use.
Yeah. So there are examples, there is precedent, for teams to do this sort of thing. And I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is what can you guarantee long-term? And if you can guarantee a couple of Super Bowls, if you can guarantee a Final Four, if you can guarantee some of these other things, then yeah, I mean, I feel like the ball is, pretty much rolling down the hill at this point. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's interesting, but there were a lot of things that came out of the meetings, and we'll talk about all of them as we get into the next hour. That was the one, though, of course, that caught the most attention for us. All right, we're coming right back. More Sports Daily. Don't go away.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of. It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
31001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrock and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, for another hour of Sports Daily. Glad to be here with you. Be on your toes weather-wise tonight. We got severe weather coming in, potential tornadoes. That is not an April Fool's joke. Also be on your toes for April Fool's jokes, though. Today I'm having fun with my kids during the commercial breaks, and my 5-year-old son is fired up for April Fool's jokes. So he's got lots this morning. He's gonna be interesting at school today. He just showed me one as I went up, where he was like, "Hey, Dad, watch this," and he showed me his ring finger solo. And he's like, "It's not my middle finger." And I was like, "That's probably one you're going to want to keep to yourself." I don't know that your teacher.
Keep that in the pocket.
I don't know that your teachers are going to truly appreciate the humor there. So let's not flip people off with our ring finger. How do you even know what that means? I don't know. I'm I mean, they learn things on the bus, I guess. But I'm like, oh well, we know what that is now in our kindergartner. Okay, all right, let's not do that, or let's not show mom that joke either. Please.
Got to teach them young. Teach them young.
Teach them a good sense of humor, right? Like a real good sense of humor. Man, we are rocking and rolling here. Saw that Freddie Freeman hurt himself in the shower. Had an ankle injury in the shower. I feel you, man.
I've never related I've never related to anything more in my life than that.
Yeah, that's the old tweaked the back, putting the socks on. Now, these days, I laughed when I saw that story. Not at Freddie. I love Freddie Freeman. I think he's awesome. But I'm like, yep, hurt your ankle in the shower. I'm honestly surprised we don't see more of that. I think it was Derek Holland tripped and fell down his stairs chasing his dog or something. And I'm like, how do athletes avoid the stupidity of day-to-day injuries when you reach a certain age? Like I feel like if I was a high level athlete with everything on the line, like you just have to sit still all day.
Yeah, it was almost I think maybe 2 weeks ago. I thought I broke my toe by chasing my kids around the house barefoot, and I kicked the door frame, and I try really hard to not cuss in front of my kids. And it took everything in me to it was bad. I had to go excuse myself to the other room and scream into a pillow. It hurt so bad. So I get it. I've coughed wrong and I've thrown my back out. That's the way that it is. You get to our age and that's what happens.
Yeah. It's not even we're not even that old. It's just in general in life. How do these athletes stay healthy? I don't know. Your Braves aren't staying very healthy. Speaking of Freddie Freeman, former Brave, they're off to a bad start. Mentioned the Brewers off to a bad start. Baseball gives and takes away, but man, if you get off to a slow start in baseball, it's a pretty miserable feeling because you're just no, this can't happen this fast.
Can I talk about the Braves for a second? I know, they're my team. They're not a lot of other people's teams in this area, but they're 0-5. They were swept by the Padres. They've got 2 more against the Dodgers. They lost last night in LA. Ronaldo Lopez is on the IL. Ronald Acuna is not back. Spencer Strider's not back. Oh, and by the way, Jurickson Profar, the one guy they signed during the offseason, was suspended for 80 games yesterday for PED use. It couldn't be a worse start to the year for the Braves. I mean, just absolutely terrible.
If I was Jurickson Profar, I think I'd probably get a new PED guy. Jurickson Profar built about like me. If that's the result of PED, I'd probably find a new guy.
You call it wiry, I call it scrawny, but either way, it's about the same. And when I saw that come down yesterday, that he was suspended for 80 games after playing 4 games with the Braves, I laughed. There was nothing else I could do but just laugh at the absurdity of it all, that he played 4 games with the Braves, the one guy they signed in the offseason, the one guy that they thought would help contribute offensively. And now he's gone for half the season. And by the way, and I laughed about this too, the report was that when he does return, he can play this year, but he is ineligible for the postseason. And I'm like, yeah, they're 0-5. They're not making the playoffs this year, guys. This is not happening.
I mean, listen,
even if he does come back, he can't play in the postseason.
In an overreaction world, the Braves absolutely can still make the postseason. I just think
5.
You don't think? What would you think if they lost 5 games in June in a row? You wouldn't say that's it. That's it.
Well, no, but they would have had some wins on their record.
They haven't had a chance. They start with a rough schedule.
They're going to go 0-7 to start their season on the West Coast. They're going to lose both of these games coming up to the Dodgers. They've scored 1 run in their last 3 games. It's awful. It's so bad.
But making declarations not even 1 week into the season overreaction, panic. Tommy is one of my favorite Tommies. That's a little much. I get it. It sucks. And I don't know that I don't even think I put I don't think I put them in the playoffs anyway. I think the Phillies and the Mets are both really good. But they're going to need a little time here. They still have good players.
I'm in the Dumb and Dumber. Our pets' heads are falling off.
Yeah.
Stage. That's where I'm in. I'm
that's
right
what
there.
happens. That's what happens in baseball. Like, it's okay when it's not okay when it happens during the year in stretches. It can be just as frustrating, but man, when it happens in April, it's what made the Royals before last year, what those 2 or 3 seasons where they're Aprils, you were just like, this season's over. We didn't even make it through April. And that's a miserable feeling for baseball because you're kind of counting on baseball, right? To carry you through the summertime. So I get it. And I'm glad the Royals aren't there right now. And the Royals kind of, they were looking at something where they would start potentially 1-3 without a win yesterday, but they get it done. They get going tonight, and they will have Lorenzen making his first start, which will be interesting. It's funny that, and I'm glad Bubic pitched really well yesterday because, and I said Lorenzen, and I've said it here, was the final piece to make me okayed with the Singer trade. I do think we're putting just a little bit too much pressure on Lorenzen to be something he has never been before, right? Like Michael Lorenzen is a stabilizer, is all of these things, but he's not like some world beater out there. Last year was his best year by far. The 4 years prior to that, he was 4.18 ERA, 4.24, 5.59, right? 4.28. So I don't want to overthink what Lorenzen is for the team. He stabilizes things, but I would say the chances of Bubic or Lorenzen, which one has a better chance and a higher ceiling? I would say Bubic has a higher ceiling. It's just that Lorenzen probably has a little bit higher floor, and he's reliable and he's consistent and he's versatile and all those things. But let's temper our expectations for him just a little bit, probably from where they've been, because they've been a little unfair.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to recognize what his role is. What do you need out of Michael Lorenzen as the 5th starter? And I think that once you view it in that context, then it becomes a little bit more clear on what they actually need him to be. They need him to eat some innings. They need him to try to be able to be in a position to where they don't have to rely on the bullpen a ton when he pitches, but he doesn't have to go out there and be an ace. He doesn't have to go out there and be an all-star by any means. He can go out there and be your 5th starter and eat up some innings in games where you need to kind of reset your bullpen a little bit. And I think that if he's able to do that, at least fairly consistently, then he'll have accomplished what they need out of him.
For sure. They needed his stability as much. They need him to be what he's not even what he was last year, I wouldn't say. If they can keep him in the low 4s, but know that he gives you 25 to 30 starts, they will have won with him being there big time. And even if you get that out of he and Bubic, again, the Royals needed to get better in a few other places because there is almost no world where they're better in the starting rotation. With almost the same rotation, by the way, it's just not going to happen based on what we always see out of this sport. That's why you love the other stuff that went along with it, right? You love that the lineup seems significantly better than it was a year ago, and you love that the bullpen seems significantly better than it was at this point, at least last year. Those are the things, if you're a Royals fan, you're looking into. But as Lorenzen makes his first start, let's not put this expectation that he needs to come out and give you an ERA somewhere between 3.5 and 4, and just I think that's a little rich. It's not what he's ever done. He had a really good year last year. If he replicates the year he had last year, over 30 starts, the Royals are they're gonna win a ton of games this year. Injuries aside, but so we'll watch him today. That game is a 6 o'clock first pitch, I believe.
That's like a
6:40.
Yeah.
And you'll hear it here on KFH. Hey, thanks to Crestview Country Club for being a great sponsor of the program. We are so close to consistent golf weather. We're not quite there yet, If you can deal with the wind this time of year, maybe you're there, but we're so close for it. Something else that makes that okay with me is they've got 2 driving ranges. I don't know that we've talked about that, Tommy. Driving ranges can get a little crowded. They've got 2 of them, so you can pop over to the other. They have a chipping green. They have a putting green. They have a practice hole, like an entire practice hole out there. So give Crestview a call, ask them about their memberships, and we'll have cool stuff for you to win with them coming up in the coming weeks here on Sports Daily. All right, we're coming right back. Felix Johnson, our Chiefs Insider, joins. Don't go away. More Sports Daily right after this.
.97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Just
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of... It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to Sports
Digging
Daily.
deeper with the teams you follow. It's another Sports Daily Insider interview on KFH.
And we bring you that insider, Felix Johnson, here. It is not an April Fool's joke. Felix is going to hang with us for a couple of segments here. Tommy stepped out, and it's a perfect day for it because we'll get into the Chiefs and the draft and all the mocks and all of these things. And then we've had a lot of interesting NFL news out of the league meetings happening right now. So we'll dig in deep here. So hang with us. Thanks for watching us on our video streams right now, 12 News Plus on Facebook, on YouTube, on X. You can always comment to us that way. You can comment to us directly. You'll find Felix at Felix R. Johnson joining us there, and you can tweet at us there. Thanks for listening to us. You can call in at 869-1240, or if you're listening on the Odyssey app, you can send us your voice messages by just clicking the little microphone. Even if you're listening to us from the future right now and you're listening to us in podcast form, which I know so many of you do, you can do that. You can find Felix's work at Field Vision. You can find it at Arrowhead Addict. Happy April Fool's Day. Is that how we say that? How are you, Felix?
I mean, happy April Fool's Day. I do some stand-up comedy on the side, so I mean, I guess it is the closest thing we have to Christmas or whatever you would call it.
Kind of your day. I've got 3 kids. I've already been messing with them all morning. They've been trying to mess back. It is a fun day. It's not a fun day necessarily to be in the media. I work,
not at all.
I work TV too. So in a newsroom, like the obligatory emails like, hey, everybody, people are going to try to prank you today. They think it's hilarious to do that to the media. And while it can be, on your toes, everybody, on your toes. All right, Felix, we got the draft coming up here pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing here? Because, we haven't really talked a whole lot outside of Luther Burden and a pipe dream of your world of what the Chiefs could do in the draft. I don't know what I think they'll do. Here's what I think they'll do. I think they'll draft a pass rusher in their spot, but I'm not ruling out trading up and going after left tackle. I'm not, because I think they, through free agency, have been able to bring so much more back than I thought they'd be able to.
Mm-hmm.
And if the hard part of guessing something like that is we're not inside their room. Do they even like any of these left tackles enough to make a monumental move like that? That's the part that makes it really, really difficult to guess at.
Well, and I think to that point, the fact that they went out and got a tackle in free agency before the draft, and while we're still figuring out, because offensive line is hard to project out, just because it's still one of those spots where we all understand when they screw up, but when they do well, nobody really looks at them, so it's hard to judge them properly, at least for a layman. And it even stretches out to front offices, as we see offensive linemen. They struggle just as much, if not more, than quarterbacks when they fail. Like when they're drafted highly and they don't work out, we see a lot of busts go down that way. But I think that it's kind of interesting. I mean, you can scroll through your Twitter feed throughout the day and see 5 different mock drafts from 5 different teams. And I obviously see a bunch of them for the Chiefs, and more recently have had them drafting an interior defensive lineman. And I think that could be interesting too, because obviously Chris Jones, being who he is, one of the best defensive tackles in football and of all time, a Hall of Famer, if you ask me, and a lot of people. But I think that there is something to be desired across that front, and it happens to be in that second defensive tackle spot, and especially with what they've lost over the last couple of years, dating all the way back to Colin Saunders, Derek Nottie this year, and so like seeing Turk Wharton getting a deal with the Panthers, and so having a handful of guys at that position that they just might need to fill a hole out of the 22 starting spots. That's the one that they need, and it might be that position. Like we've talked about, it's hard to find who's going to even make this roster, and they might just need a starter or a rotation piece at that spot, and that's what I've been seeing more and more recently. But I would be interested to see if they could trade up and make a move, whether it be for left tackle or not.
Yeah, the defensive tackle one's interesting. I feel like that's one of the harder positions to draft in football. Like, I feel like we see more guys not live up to early draft potential at that position as any other outside of quarterback, of course. Like, defensive tackles are difficult. That to me feels more like a sit back and wait to see what happens kind of a move. I guess you can start with the Chiefs. Like, are they going to pick at 31 or not? Like, what is like, are they 31? I would say no, they won't. They'll trade one way or the other.
I think they could trade up, but it wouldn't be like into the teens. I mean, we've seen them trade up for a Trent McDuffie and still end up having 2 picks in the first round and getting George Karlaftis. And so I think you're right where it's hard for me to imagine that Brett Veach is going to stay still, just because we haven't seen that often, and the only time that we've seen it happen was when they had the draft in Kansas City and they drafted Felix Uzama. The interesting part about drafting defensive tackles, and it kind of goes along with the offensive line and particularly the tackle conversation, God only makes a handful of 6'8", 300-pound men that can move the way left tackles do. God only makes a handful of Chris Joneses. And so when you do see a prospect or a player come across in free agency that looks kind of like that, you take your chances on them. And just like you would with a quarterback, because God only makes 5 quarterbacks at a time that can win a Super Bowl. And so I think that's why teams do take chances on defensive tackles, defensive ends, the same way they take chances on quarterbacks, because there's only a handful of these guys out there like this.
Yeah, and again, like, I think it'd be okay because the Chiefs have set themselves up to be, if you want to call that risky, like if they totally whiff on their first round pick, I don't know, it's not going to keep them out of the Super Bowl,
right?
Because they could already make it even if they didn't draft any players this year.
Right.
Felix Johnson joining us, our Chiefs insider, but it also allows them to be ultra aggressive, which can be dangerous for other teams too. Like, whether Felix and Uzama, now that hasn't worked out, but they were ultra aggressive with him. They went and in the first round took a dude with a second or maybe even a third round grade. They could also do that, right? They could just say, you know what? We really like this guy. We don't have any clear needs. Let's just take him now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have a long history of doing that successfully. I guess Patrick Mahomes, if you want to look at that and dig in a little bit of a guy that you move aggressively to take earlier than he's being projected. But that's also a possibility. And you'd like to think that all of that put together creates a position of strength for Kansas City now. It felt like a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, that there was a bit of desperation to me in the draft, Felix, because they had to get it right. Like, they had to find a contributor. Now I don't think that exists that way.
Well, and I think you're right in that the reason they, like, going back to the Patrick Mahomes analogy, is that was the quarterback that could change your franchise, and luckily it worked out. And obviously a defensive tackle may not do that for you, but we see the impact that Chris Jones has for that team. And so I think that in the same way that you can take a chance on a player that was probably supposed to go in the second or third round at 31, and then he pops for you because he's a Kansas City Chief and he's got all this potential, and by the end of the season he's rolling. And so I think that the Chiefs, there is a room for them to go out and get a contributor for what we're talking about, but they don't have to, for exactly what you're saying, in that they can just there's certain holes on the team, but also this is a long-term future. Patrick Mahomes is not 30 yet. He'll turn 30 by the time the season starts. And so this is still there's a long runway in front of the Chiefs, and they've already won 3 Super Bowls, been to 3 in a row, however many accolades we want to list right here. And so I think that it's this weird balance of like, how do we find contributors for this year? And also, we've got a little bit of a longer runway than what even it may seem.
There's really not any position that I would say, oh, I'm surprised by that. Because even now you also think about what is coming in free agency, right? When we talk about moving up to take a left tackle and you're like, well, they already signed one of those. I'm sure they can't wait for the day that Juwan Taylor's contract expires, right? They're going to need another tackle. Are they going to be able to keep McDuffie and Karlaftis? Probably not. Which one of those guys do they envision replacing? So you might see a player drafted there that you're like, do they really need that right now? I mean, all of that's outside of quarterback, outside of them drafting a quarterback. Like, there's really nothing I think that wouldn't make sense. Like, they're not going to take a wide receiver, as you've mentioned with Luther Burden, and be like, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, it does, because Rashee Rice is going to miss time. Running back, it does. Remember what they were able to do in peak Kareem Hunt years, right? Like, there isn't anything else outside of quarterback, I don't think, that would just be like a, I don't know about that. All of it has a place in not just the short term, but the long term for the franchise.
Well, and I think that it's not necessarily the player they pick. It's a lot about the position and what you're saying. Like, if they go out and draft another corner after signing Christian Fulton and whatever it may be, that's like, well, they're probably going to play a little bit of hardball with Trent McDuffie because they can say we have another first-round corner. If they draft another defensive lineman in general, whether it's an interior or edge rusher, it's like, hey, George, they're probably playing hardball with you. You're probably not worth $100 million. And so I think it's really big, and you hit on it right there, where it matters what position they draft moving forward, because those guys might be moving on. That 2022 draft class, they're going to be coming up for contracts here coming up pretty soon, and not all of them can stay. And that includes the 2 first-round picks in that class.
I think edge rusher is what they're going to do. George Karlaftis is going to cost a lot of money in free agency.
Yeah.
I like George Karlaftis. The question becomes, is he worth that kind of money that he's going to command in free agency? He had 10.5 sacks in 2023. He started 11 games and had 8 sacks a year ago. He's going to get paid. And it's the second most expensive position, right, in football. It makes the most sense to try to draft that position, to me, for the Chiefs. I would love to see them move up and take a tackle again, caveat, if they love one enough to do it. But man, like, if we're looking at long-term stuff and cost versus production and everything else, it makes the most sense to draft edge rushers and not have to pay them.
Well, and I was doing a little bit of research here, and this might be a little bit too much for some Chiefs fans, being that this guy's a Hall of Famer, but he wasn't a Hall of Famer when he was with the Chiefs. Jared Allen, I mean, he was a very productive pass rusher for the first 4 or 5 years of his career when he was the Kansas City Chief, had 15.5 sacks in his last year before taking off, but they just couldn't keep him. And I think it could be a version of that where it's just that he's really, really good, and he's just going to command more money than the Chiefs have and are willing to spend for that position. And when you can, looking at the way the defensive end position has gone over the last couple of years, there's about 35 guys that can get you 8+ sacks a year. And as impressive as that may sound, that's like saying in the NBA, there's about 35 guys that can get you 25 a night. All right, there's 1 per team and 2 per teams, and those are the championship teams. And that's why you can kind of look at certain things like, all right, we can go out and find a guy that can get us 8 sacks. That's why a Charles Omenihu was on the market a couple years ago. You can go out and find a guy like that. If George Karlaftis, you drafted him at 30, who says you can't find another guy like that at 31? I'm saying that's a little looser than what it actually might end up being, but at the same time, it's a real conversation being had.
And if you look at average salaries right now in the league and remove quarterbacks, you've got Jamar Chase in there, Myles Garrett just got in there, Max Crosby just got in there, Nick Bosa is in there. Like, it's a collection of wide receivers and defensive linemen. Well, and then you start to get to some offensive linemen. It is a really expensive position. And we just saw the market reset almost. Three guys. Like, let me ask you this. You probably know this. I don't. Who is Milton Williams? Like, for real. Who is Milton Williams, and how many people have heard of Milton Williams? He's going to make $26 million a year.
And that's partially because the Patriots are just like, we have money. Somebody come take it. Somebody just come take some of this money. And Milton Williams is like, all right, I'm up. I'm ready to go. And so, like, it works out. It's just his time to get paid. But, like, Milton Williams, decent defensive lineman, not worth $27 million. But that's just because it's positional value because if you have like Sam Darnold is always going to make more money than Justin Jefferson. I'm just throwing a name out there.
Yeah.
Just because he's a quarterback, in the same way that like a pretty good defensive end is probably going to make more money than a safety will, even if he might be a top 10 safety because he's a safety. And I'm probably flubbing numbers here, but we mentioned a bunch of different positions that are getting paid crazy numbers. It's not only hurting the Chiefs with their defensive line because they've had to pay Chris Jones, they've seen guys walk away. They're going to have to pay George Karlaftis or at least make a decision there. What other market is going up? Derek Stingley just got paid. J.C. Horn just got paid. Trent McDuffie's going to have to get paid at some point, and it's going to be a bigger price tag because he legitimately is a first-team All-Pro. And so that's something that you're going to have to address too, where the Chiefs are getting pushed and pulled from both ends when it comes to the salary with that 22 draft class. It was so good, and they're going to get hurt for it. And that's a good problem to have, but a problem nonetheless.
So if you look at the contracts right now, and you brought up Stingley, Felix Johnson joined us, our Chiefs Insider, for a couple of segments. Bonus Felix today on a Tuesday. But if you look at the contracts and what just went out the door this year, Stingley just got 30. But if you look at the contracts, again, Milton Williams, who most of you have never heard of, just got 26. It's probably going to cost the same thing whether you bring back Karlaftis or whether you bring back McDuffie, right? Exactly. They're probably, either one of them is going to cost you, let's call it $31 million if McDuffie resets the market, which he probably would. It's going to cost you $31 million either way. Who would you rather have? Mm-hmm. The guy that's arguably the best in the business right now in Trent McDuffie, or a good, not great defensive end in George Karlaftis? That's the decision the Chiefs have to make.
He's one of the 35 or 40 who can get you 8 to 10 sacks in a given season. And that's very good. And that might be worth something on the open market, but I'll let the open market decide that. And then if you're not as good and the Panthers or the Patriots don't want to give you $27.5 million a year or whatever the case may be, all right, we can work out a deal and then figure that out. But that's never how these things go.
No, not and not when he almost certainly in a contract year has a pretty good statistical year. Again, like if he's healthy, he's likely going to be back into double-digit sacks next year.
Exactly.
But the Chiefs have to think about that now, right? You're going into the draft, and Brett Veach is sitting there, and if all things are equal and everything, you'd like to just have the best players. But like if you're trying to make this decision and look to the future, I think that's what leans you into coming out of this draft with a handful at least of pass rushers here, because it's more likely to me that Karlaftis walks and McDuffie comes back. Neither one of them may come back. They may both get priced out. I mean,
I like where we diverge a little here, because I think that early on you draft a defensive tackle because obviously George Karlaftis on the other side of Chris Jones is phenomenal. If you can milk him for all he's worth and get all the juice out of the orange, go get another interior defensive lineman that can rush the passer and really energize it and give George Karlaftis everything he needs. Also helping Chris Jones out. You have and it changes your defensive line from that front. So that's what interests me on that side of it.
Me too. It's all there for the Chiefs. All right, we're going to take our break here. When we come back, let's get into some of these other NFL league meeting storylines with Felix that are coming out of it. Stick around. Jacob Albrock, Felix Johnson on Sports Daily.
66 counties, 4 regions, and 1 weather team that you can trust. Find Storm Team 12 every weekday at 5:30 on the KSCW. Whatever the weather and wherever you are, Storm Team 12 is zooming in, going zone by zone to give you a more in-depth look at the forecast and some science behind the storms so you know more. We're focusing on the forecast so you can focus on what's important to you. Storm Team 12 Weather Focus, 5:30 on the KSCW.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here with stunning video, movie theater quality sound, enhanced voice clarity, and interactive features, all upgradable for the future. Learn more at watchnextgentv.com.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
It's the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say,
What is GMFB overtime?
It's Peter, Jamie, Kyle, and Akbar breaking down the NFL 5 days a week.
It's okay to be excited.
It's this, that, and a whole lot of. It's football for everyone.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KSCW.
Are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
83101 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea.
With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospitalized from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Thanks to Prayer Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up every morning here in our Odyssey family of networks. Jacob Albrocht here, Felix Johnson, sticking around another segment. Happy to have that here on a Tuesday. As we talk a little NFL, it's perfect timing because there are lots of nuggets falling out of the league meetings. We mentioned, Felix, the very interesting news as it pertains to the Chiefs, and potentially talks are already happening if they stick a roof on the new stadium. Maybe the Super Bowl comes. We, of course, know if a roof goes on the stadium, that makes it far more likely that they would come across the state line to Kansas, take advantage of the Star Bond. So we're all watching that. But there was a lot of other stuff happening at the league meetings as well. The biggest headline grabber, we'll call it, is the tush push vote that comes today. Basically, the league is voting to outlaw the tush push. The NFL has a long history, to me, Felix, of doing things to make the game better, even if they totally disrupt whatever. The NFL changes its rules all the time. Every year, they change the rules. And I think it's always to the goal of making the game the most entertaining it can possibly be. The tush push is not entertaining. And I think they can cite player safety. They can cite, it's not player safety. It's not anything else. It's just not an exciting play. It's a boring play. It totally changes the thrill of a 3rd or 4th and 1, and can they pick up the first down? So in the interest of me always rooting for the most interesting league possible, and your affinity for linemen, you're probably going to disagree with me on this, maybe not. I'm glad to see it go. I think it's boring. And that's the only reason I need to say, yeah, bye.
As a lineman, I can probably tell you as gospel that behind closed doors, if you ask Jason Kelsey, the reason he retired last year was because of the tush push. He probably could have played another 2 or 3 years. And sure, I mean, it's a tough league, and he was an older player, whatever you want to say, all that good stuff. But I guarantee you, between the guards, nobody likes that play. No, it's not very fun. And I think that the most interesting part and my favorite thing about this whole situation, and obviously we all remember it, Frankie Louvu ruined this play. And it was him spearing over the top and basically saying, we're going to stop this play and commit a penalty every single time we stop it. But it basically forced the NFL through the referees to say, all right, if they keep doing this, we have to give them the score. And that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm sure it rubbed a certain amount of people the wrong way, where it was just like, I mean, we don't want to be giving out scores, even if it was like we understood the situation. We all watched it happen. We watched Frankie Louvu jump off sides and commit the penalty. But everybody in a game of athleticism, in a game of competition, we're just like, yeah, we don't want to give them the score. And that's what it kind of feels like. The tush push always just kind of feels like, I mean, yeah, go ahead. And until the Chiefs stopped it. And that's partially because Josh Allen's not that good of a tush pusher, believe it or not. I mean, not even believe it or not, we all saw it 5 times in the Chiefs game. He got stopped, or in the AFC Championship game. And so I think for me, it's just that there wasn't a fair advantage for the defense to stop it other than committing a penalty. And when they did, we were like, oh yeah, this is why this is crap. This is why it feels like they're just kind of giving it to them because, yeah, they're already there as it is.
It just, again, like it's, yeah. And that's a good point on Kelsey when we talk about player safety, because I think when we hear that, we're thinking quarterback, but it's everybody involved in the script. We don't want rugby. Okay. If we wanted rugby, we'd watch rugby. We want football. I want a football play to determine it. And you can still quarterback sneak, right? You got a quarterback sneak. We don't let our linemen pick up a player and throw him over the line, right? Like, okay, like it's fine. And I cannot imagine that it's not a 75% vote, which is what they'll need. Because even from a competitive standpoint, if you're anybody besides the Eagles, the Bills don't like it. The Bills use it the second most.
Exactly.
Right? It sounds like Sirianni may get a couple of his guys to vote for it, but I don't think they're going to have 25% of the vote. I don't think.
I mean, being that there's only one team that's consistently effective at it, and you can say Jalen Hurts squats 600 pounds, and you can say it was partially because Jason Kelsey or whatever the case may be. But I think it's just because they started doing it first. It's just that simple. And it's kind of like James Naismith came up with basketball. Doesn't mean he was the best at coaching it, but he was the first to do it. And it just, in this situation, that analogy doesn't exactly work, but it just works that the Eagles were the first to do it, and they just kept doing it. And the Bills, for whatever reason, and I think it's more of a Josh Allen problem where he loves to take a half step back. I remember it in a Titans game. They played the Titans on like Monday Night Football, I want to say like 3 years ago, and they basically lost the game because Josh Allen, and you learn it as an offensive lineman, why would you ever take a step backwards to go forwards? And he does it every single time there's a tush push. And I think they would be more successful at it strictly because he's just big. He's just big. Right. And so, I mean, if he just leaned forward, it would probably work more often. And maybe these votes wouldn't be happening if Josh Allen figured it out. But who knows?
Well, look, we all know Tom Brady was a great sneaking quarterback. Like, there's a skill to it. I'm not, and honestly, I think the Eagles deserve a ton of credit. They utilized this play, this unstoppable play, and it won them a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they did it. And we're going to find out real quick if they can win one without it. My guess is they can't, because how many touchdowns that you have just put in pen now become in pencil? Mm-hmm. Is it half? Is it 2/3? Is it, what is it? Now you're going to find out if Jalen Hurts is a $50 million a year quarterback, because those 20 cupcake rushing touchdowns are not going to be there anymore.
Oh my goodness. I'm glad like this conversation doesn't have to go here, but I think the reason the Eagles won't be as strong a contenders, and they were the best team in football this year. I mean, if you remember, they started the season 2-2 and didn't lose for the rest of the year. So that's impressive in and of itself. But being that we know Jalen Hurts isn't a top 5 quarterback, and Nick Sirianni, I can only imagine things are going to start crumbling because they've already reached the pinnacle of success, the same reason why things started crumbling before. And now if this can be they can point to say, well, they took our play away. Well, it was one play worth 15 inches at a time. So like, why are you complaining about that one singular thing? But a team that is built strictly and mostly out of vibes, I think that this could be a thing that, well, Nick Sirianni is going to be having a meltdown and shaving his head by week 4 again, and some people are going to lead it back to this.
We'll find out. And again, I don't want to say, oh, now they deserve a ton of credit for finding it, using it, and doing it well. Like, we'll look back historically.
Yeah.
And if there's no other legacy other than, man, they found this thing that worked and it took them to a Super Bowl, that will have been worth it. I'm not saying it as like, pull that away from them. I'm saying it's going to be a lot harder for them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not that. I mean, Jalen Hurts, and maybe he can run just a regular quarterback sneak almost as effectively, and it doesn't impact it. But my suspicion is it's going to be a huge play. And again, they got to vote still. They got to vote.
Well, I think that he could run. I mean, he is Jalen Hurts at the end of the day, so I think he could run a quarterback sneak almost as effectively. But to me, it's just one of those things that it might just be because I have a bad taste in my mouth from the Super Bowl, but it could be one of those things where it's just Philly fans, and maybe an Eagles player will say it in an interview at some point. They took our play away, so we can't do this, that, and the third. It's like, well, no, you have these problems, and we've seen these problems rise before. Nick Sirianni, he has some issues. Jalen Hurts, we're not completely trustworthy in him as a quarterback. Well, there's still a young team that has a lot of personalities on it. A.J. Brown, Jalen Carter, every Georgia Bulldog is on that defense. And so, I mean, that is combustible in and of itself. And so I think that this could be one of those, it's kind of kindling at right now. I mean, I might just be being that it's April 1st and I'm just looking for NFL things to talk about, but it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, this might catch fire for a team that may not live up to their success from last year, but for all the reasons that they lived up to it this year, they might do it again.
If you're a fantasy football player, imagine just a third of those touchdowns going to Saquon Barkley now.
Exactly.
By the way.
Exactly.
All right. Two other things that happened. This one, we don't need to spend a ton of time because it's maybe the biggest no-brainer of all time. The NFL is going to go to 18 games. They're going to lose a preseason game. They're going to add the bye week. It's going to make them be able to get to President's Day as the day after the Super Bowl. So it essentially is a national holiday. That'll become like a federal holiday that everybody gets off work for. This has been one of the most predictable things ever. And I'll bet you if you got a real answer from players, if they'd rather play one more preseason game, get a second bye week and have one more regular and have one less preseason game, I bet you the vote for that would be very, very high.
I think it would be interesting to ask the players. I think the most interesting situation around or theory around an 18th game to me would be, Nick Wright has brought this up, where there's like, with the NFL going global, why don't you have a global week where there's a game on Monday or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, every day of the week in London, Paris at some point, Germany, like wherever else they go. I think that would be pretty interesting, where the NFL is going global. We know you might as well make a thing out of it, because you're adding more games and not making any more of them special. And that's kind of what the NFL has over baseball and the NBA, is that there was only 16 games and then 17 games. And if you're adding another game, you might as well make that one special. And you've already made a select few of them special by going international. Just make it special for everybody that week, where every team in the league plays for a week. Then the whole week or the whole league might be on bye, or most of the league might be on bye the next week. And then you work from there. But I think that could be really interesting if they were to make that extra game or whatever the case may be special in some way.
And it should be an easy bargain. The league can just say, we'll pay you another game check.
Exactly.
But you gain another bye week from it. That second bye week would be money for those players. That would be like
and then imagine the two teams in the two conferences that are the one seed. They get a third bye going into the playoffs. And so like it's extra, it builds on top of each other. Where
if you're a family man, and most of these guys are at this point, it would pay dividend. You would love it. All right, last one, just a couple of minutes. Aaron Rodgers, another strong push toward his flirtation with Pittsburgh. I think him working out with DK, Mike Tomlin, I think he'll end up there. The question becomes, if he can replicate his production from a year ago and only that, where does that put the Steelers, I think, in the pecking order? I think there's a fine chance that he's better than Russell Wilson was last year, but is it going to be enough?
That's the thing. He wasn't better than Russell Wilson.
But I think he can be another year removed from the injury. Russell Wilson was a deep ball thrower, and it's
another year deeper into his 40s. And so, I mean, it's like, to me, with Aaron Rodgers, there's not a quarterback that you can't find that's more talented and younger than him.
I would trade for Derek Carr if I were them, personally. But Russell Wilson, when they took away the deep ball from him, he was nothing for them. Like, he couldn't do anything outside of that late in the year.
Well, and he was one of, if not the most effective deep ball pass. But I think that was just kind of the Steelers doing the Steelers thing, where they weren't going to be as effective offensively. But Aaron Rodgers isn't adding anything to anybody's roster. To me, I mean, he was the 29th best quarterback in the NFL, according to our threat rating at Field Vision. And so, I mean, it's hard for me to say, like, oh yeah, he's going to go improve a team when he wasn't better than anybody last year.
It's good stuff. Felix, thanks for a couple segments today. We'll have to do this again soon. Felix Johnson, find his work at Field Vision. Find his work at Arrowhead Addict. Follow him at Felix R. Johnson on X. We'll come back. We'll wrap up today here on Sports Daily. Don't go away.